Good evening, and welcome to another weekly edition of TouchyGooners. It's your boy SV Carbaholic on hosting duty, and I'm joined by just the two of us, two-man step tonight, joined by Khalil. My brother, how are you doing this evening?
Good man. Can't lie, I'm very tired. So we'll see how it goes. I'll try to pick my energy levels up.
What are you saying? Those Bristol babes have got you in a headlock, yeah?
No comment, man. Man, I'm trying to survive.
Hey, bro. Okay, no comment. The reason why it's just the two of us listeners tonight is that big up one of our patrons who invited a load of the boys on to the game tonight, into the hospitality box. So that's only why there's two of us tonight. So, and they were treated to a feast of attacking football, a feast of goals. It felt like a proper old school Wenger League Cup performance, right? There was loads of youngsters playing. It just felt, it's really fun. Like, sometimes, especially after the week we've had where there was a lot of high pressure. It wasn't always the best football at times. It was very intense, very gritty. This was one of those nights where you just knew you could relax. The ball was going to be good. Man, we're going to show out. There's going to be a lot of attackers on show. And so that proved to be the case, man. So we have beaten Bolton 5-1 this evening. And we're going to get into all good things in that game. I'm going to touch on loads of individual performances. But yeah, first and foremost, I think, Khalil, obviously we'll look at the attack. We had Jesus leading the line, Sterling left, Saka right. In midfield, we have Jorginho, Rice, and Ethan Nwaneri. Then at the back, we had Miles Lewis-Skelly as an inverted left back with Calafiori and Kivior, and then young Josh Nichols at right back. And we had, before I forget, young Porter, only 16 years old in goal. So it was really, really, really young. I'd love to see what the average age of the team was tonight. And obviously, we have to caveat it, with all the excitement. We were playing League One Bolton, so obviously we were always expected to win, always expected to put them to the sword, but we did it. And we did it quite comfortably. Could have got some more goals as well. So overall, what was your overall takeaway from the evening, Khalil?
Yeah, solid win, solid performance. Happy that got to run the numbers up. It's nice having, like you said, like a lower pressure game against lower league opposition. We haven't had that in the cups in the recent years. It's all been City, Liverpool, and Prem teams. So yeah, nice to obviously see a hugely changed team. A lot of young players. That's kind of what I grew up on. Wenger heritage, just guys that you barely heard of. Lining up on the pitch or on the bench. And despite all that, I think it was a pretty decent performance as well. Of course, it's not what our usual sort of performances are, where we're camped in our positions half. I think it was a bit end-to-end at times, but not in a way that was too, strenuous. And it was really important to, I think, get an early goal as well, just to avoid any sort of nonsense happening. I think, again, great to see Ethan get his first goal, get his second goal as well. Big moment for any player. I think we've known about him for so long that it kind of feels as if this point was inevitable, but still, it's a big moment for a young player from the academy to get their first goal. And yeah, keeper as well. That was a big storyline before the game. He came in and he handled himself pretty well. I was a little surprised that maybe Bolton didn't sort of test him in terms of how they took their not spot kicks, their corner kicks, and just generally maybe trying some things from distance, just to kind of see how he'd react. I know he had that one scare moment when he was passing out the back and he hit the Bolton striker, but I mean, all in all, he's 16 and like 70 days or something. He's really, really young. So to come in and not be a bag of nerves is an achievement in itself. The rest of the guys did well. Happy to see Sterling as well get off the mark. Managed to heavily rotate and just move on to Leicester.
Yeah, it's funny, when a lot of the media narrative the last few days has been about Arsenal's dark arts and players going down and wasting time, whatever. Funny, David Raya, who they had to go at, not available because he was injured.
Yeah.
Timber, not available because he was injured. Ben White, not available because he was injured. Almost as if we weren't really playing up to it, and but it's funny anyway. It's funny anyway. Obviously, we saw Saka start, and I think in normal circumstances it probably wouldn't have happened. But I think we
Yeah,
factor in that, yeah, he was brought off at half time against City, and obviously Trossard was suspended. Obviously, other players are not available as well, so that was all in all, and he came off in good time, so I was calm with that, so which is fine. And obviously I felt the same about Rice as well, but Rice came off pretty early as well, so those are the main things for me. But there's some individual performances that I want to home in on. Obviously Saka was fine, Rice was fine, he got his goal, but there are four main guys I want to talk about. So and let's start with the youngsters, right? Because I think for me that they're the headline grabbers. Everyone pretty much expected Ethan Nwaneri to start tonight. It's been teased for a bit. Obviously, we know with Odegaard's injury, he's going to come to the fore more. He had a nice little cameo at the end of the North London derby. Didn't obviously get off the bench against City, but we knew he was going to start tonight. It was going to be his first proper start of the season. And boy, he didn't disappoint. Obviously there wasn't anything overly exciting about his brace of goals, but it's just generally, his overall play, his ability to receive on the half turn, accelerate with the ball at his feet, constant good decision making, the speed at which he executes his actions, but also the strength at which he plays with. For a 17-year-old, you can tell that both him and obviously we'll talk about the other one, Miles, in a bit. Just how much they're ready for men's football. So I'll just leave it open to you. What did you make of his overall performance, the goals, his first proper start for the team, and how you see his his development going on from here?
yeah. You mentioned that. I mean, obviously, the highlight is the two goals, and you mentioned that he wasn't necessarily doing anything that was, blowing your mind. But I was thinking of that Lippy meme where he's listening to the J House album. He's like, "Why is it so cold and
Why
nothing's
is it
even
so cold?
happened?" That was basically me. Anytime Ethan got anywhere near the ball, it's like, "Yo, why is it so cold and nothing even happens?"
Yeah, that's the pod title still.
So yeah, I mean, we can see like the level of tech and the level of potential in him. And I think from a fan perspective, we're excited by sort of the technical potential of him, his ability to carry the ball, his ability to strike off both feet, and having that sort of heavy touch count, I guess, in the game, especially if you're going to be playing in central midfield. You can't let the game bypass you. So I think those are the things that we're excited by. And then from a manager's perspective, you touched on the fact that he doesn't shirk away from the physical duels. And those are sort of the intangibles that someone like Arteta will care more about than, how we care about, just want to see him dribble around and stuff like that. So yeah, he's got the intangibles down, which is great. And I really do think that we will see more of him. And because of our Odegaard absence, that we have to see more of him. And we'll get into the Leicester game later, and I'm sure we'll get into sort of game states and stuff. But yeah, having a guy in the final third that can really kind of do all aspects of final third play is so crucial. You've got a midfielder that can get goals. You've got a midfielder that can sort of create instability in the defence by carrying the ball. Although we haven't seen the full range of his passing, we can see there's bits there for encouragement. So really happy for him. Hopefully it's going to be the first of many. And hopefully we get another nice draw, and hopefully you get some more minutes to start and potentially show some more.
Yeah. I was going to say, I think obviously the selfish part of me was hoping he'd actually come off, so it would give maybe an indication that he might start at the weekend. But
Yeah.
I think that's probably wishful thinking. And obviously Trossard will be back from his suspension, so I'll assume that's probably what we'll do in terms of going with the safe option at the weekend. But probably what that brace has done for him, it's put him higher up. He's in the conversation anyway, but it showed that the impact. Whenever you're scoring or assisting, right, you're gonna go up because productivity is currency at the end of the day. And we have a forward who we'll get onto, whose currency that isn't really, but yeah. So to your point, playing well in possession, showing intangibles that we know the manager values out of possession, because we know you won't play for Arteta if you don't work hard off the ball. And he got 2 goals, so I don't think you could have asked for much more from him this evening. So yeah, my hope would be, obviously he's probably not going to start, but can he get maybe like a 20-minute cameo at the weekend. That
Yeah,
would be really nice to see, man. So that's kind of the next step, getting more and more minutes off the bench. Obviously, I wasn't expecting that at City with the way the game went anyway, so it wasn't like it's not something you can hold against. But yeah, no, I'm really really excited, man. A lot of us have been tooting this guy's horn for a long time, and I feel like he's one of those, who's unnerved by what's surrounding me. He's got a very cool, calm demeanor. There's a running joke that this is a brother that never smiles. Obviously, it was nice to see my man smile when he bagged. So, yeah, man, fingers crossed. Hopefully, we see more and more of him as the season goes on. Um, let's switch over to his counterpart. They call them the twins because they're always together. Um, Another very, very exciting talent. Some might say just as exciting. Obviously doesn't play as high up in Miles Lewis Skelly. I'm nicknaming him the Black Jack Wilshere. I think, they have a lot of similar traits in terms of their ability to carry the ball up, their tenaciousness in and out of possession. Obviously, he's being introduced into the team as a left back. Obviously, left back, we know as an inverted left back, it's sort of like a midfield position anyway. But, for the youth teams, we see him play as a 6. But we also know you can play higher up as an 8 as well, having that ball carrying ability as well. And we saw, I thought what was beautiful for Ethan's first goal, that pass he played inside the fullback and the centre back for Sterling to cut across for Ethan. So I think this is another special talent. Obviously, I think hopefully it's just cramp that he went off with, and it's nothing
yeah,
serious. It looked like cramp, but you never know. So, but yeah, hopefully it's nothing too serious because he's another one who I think should be getting some minutes. Some more minutes as the season goes along. I know that left back position is probably a bit more stocked. There's loads of different options, but with Zinchenko being out now, it would have been interesting actually to see had Zinchenko been fit, had we maybe not had played Rice and played maybe Lewis Skelly higher up, that could have been something to watch. But I think as an introduction into this team, I've not really got any problem with him playing that sort of inverted role. I think it suits some of the qualities that he has, but I also think I would just like to see him in midfield at some stage as well. But I thought he was very, very impressive as well. What did you make of his performance?
yeah. I mean, the highlight for me was obviously how he basically created the tap in for was it Ethan's goal? I
Ethan,
can't
yeah,
remember.
Ethan's,
Yeah,
yeah. So
when he played the pass through to Sterling. Yeah, that's what you want. I mean, now that the way our fullbacks play, they're heavy touch, heavy involvement areas. So I can see the logic in having him play there. And as you mentioned, even at the beginning of the season, I think when we were trying to project how many minutes him and Ethan were going to play, I said I'm expecting Ethan to play more minutes than MLS purely because of how stocked that left back position is, and we don't expect Arteta to be putting him in the 6th position at this sort of stage in his very early career. But yeah, again, very short on the ball. You made the comparison to Jack Wilshere. I actually low-key think he's better than Jack Wilshere. But
hey.
yeah, I think Jack Wilshere had all the technical ability in the world, and he had a football brain. However, I feel as if there were aspects of Jack Wilshere where he did not make smart decisions, especially when it came to how he would dribble the ball. And I feel
He was very. I think someone described it
emotional.
once. Yeah, he let his emotions rule the way he
Yeah,
played a lot of the time. So I think
exactly.
someone said a lot of the time he was too focused on trying to be a Steven Gerrard when he should have been more of like a Xavi or an Iniesta, which
Yeah.
I thought was a really interesting, pertinent quote. But yeah, no.
No, you're right, because even when you think about how Wilshere would talk about football, when he asked him, what's that English identity, and he said, yeah, tackling. It's like, bro, you've got all this technical talent, and this is the way that your brain is processing football. But yeah, he's got immense technical ability, and I think schooling under Arteta as well, his game intelligence, I think, is better and will be better than what Wilshere's was. And yeah, long term, you really hope that he develops into a player who can play the 6, because he's got all the faculties to do it. It's just a matter of obviously transition to men's football and getting more comfortable with the demands, because in and out of possession you have to be always switched on. But yeah, very, very happy. Again, hoping it's not a serious injury, because I'm pretty sure the next cup games will be in a few weeks again. So you kind of want there to be like a semi-regularity at least of minutes, where he can get more and more comfortable. So yeah, very happy for him. Yeah, and I think again physically he doesn't look like 16, 17 or they look sort of more developed for their age. So it's again,
And I think yeah, and I think it's one of the criticisms we used to have of someone like Fabio Vieira, right? Because here you are, I think he's like 24 now, but you don't look anything like Lewis Skelly and
Yeah.
Ethan do. There's no pounded yam in that diet, bro. No, do you know what I mean? There needs to be some more hard food in that diet. And I think we used to make the comparison, even if we go younger, someone like a Charlie Patino, who never looked like that physically either. Do you know what I mean?
No,
So
no.
like it's to the
Right,
point where these kids are, like I say, they're kind of like more in a Saka mode where they're ready to plug and play straight away, because that adaptation to men's football, they have that ability to handle. I think, when I think of young players, right, when I think of making the step up, I always think, how do you handle contact under pressure, and can you create separation? Those are the two things, because there's a lot of kids that have talent, right? Loads of them have talent, but making the step up is more than just about, it's about some of those physical capabilities as well. And I get why Arteta harps on about it at times as well, because you see it. It's like, for example, someone like the Josh Nichols who played right back. I actually think he's got some good technical qualities actually, but physically he's got a lot of growing to do. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah,
you sort of saw the difference compared to the other two. Do you know what I mean? So it's interesting. But yeah, I thought Miles was great. As well. I think for me, those are the two standouts. I think I tweeted a few months back. I was like, I legit don't care about any of the other youngsters, but I see these two. I feel like if Arteta was to fumble them, I'd have an issue, because
yeah,
those are top shelf talents in my opinion. And even if anyone else didn't make it, it was just those two, I'd be more than happy, because they're serious. Obviously, there's the Max Dowman kid who looks a joke. Like, he's a few years younger than both of them,
yeah.
but
That's a bit far out, but
yeah, that's a bit far out. But yeah, but those two are serious talents, man. So yeah, I'm really encouraged and infused. Obviously, again, we caveat it with the level of opposition we have, but you got to do what you got to do, right? And they both delivered, man. So I'm happy with them. Um, let's slide over to the attack and some more experienced players. Obviously, this was Raheem Sterling's first start for Arsenal. And obviously he's left with a goal and an assist. What did you make of his performance as a whole? Obviously he was productive. Did you like what you saw? I liked what I saw. Obviously, the off the ball movement, sometimes we talk about that with our attackers, everyone wants it to
yeah.
feet. I really liked that for the assist for Ethan's goal. But what was your thoughts on the overall performance?
I thought it was a mixed performance. I'm very happy that he got sort of the output at the end of it, because then you're not coming away from the performance, feeling, or maybe he's feeling disappointed that he didn't get on the score sheet or something. But yeah, it was a mixed performance. I think it was indicative of a player who, again, we're not that far removed from his proper preseason, because remember, he didn't really have a proper preseason with Chelsea, so he was always playing catch up, and then we had the international break at the start of the season. So he's still very much playing catch up both physically and tactically with the rest of the team. So it kind of, the performance kind of reflected that, in my opinion. I'm aware that some of the sort of missed actions and some inconsistencies is just kind of part of Sterling's general play, because I'm very aware that he can be frustrating at times, and I acknowledge that. But I'm encouraged that this is not going to be the height of his level of performance. I think if he's playing with the first team, he's playing, and he's more in sync with better players and whatever, I think you get to see better parts of Sterling. Again, you mentioned his off the ball running. Again, it's just another dynamic that opens up. Not that Martelli can't do it, but again, it's more natural to Sterling, I feel. And yeah, being able to sort of come inside and go on the outside as well. Just kind of like the tenets of wing play that you expect from someone of his quality. I think I'm probably going to push back in terms of my prediction of him starting. I think he can be an impact sub, and I think he will get more and more minutes. Obviously, as the weeks go by, we've got Leicester. I think we've got, is it the Champions League again next week?
Yeah, PSG.
PSG. So yeah, we'll be seeing more and more of him. And yeah, mixed performance on the night. Very happy he got his goals. I think there's more to come, and you can see the motivation is there. I think that's the main thing for me. He's playing with more purpose and more directness. That we basically need from a senior player, because I'm sure we'll get into another senior player with question marks around him. So yeah, I don't expect this to be his base level performance. It was up and down. I do expect him to be better, but there's enough in there for me to be encouraged.
Yeah. I think at times you can see the quality. You can still see the quality is there, and I think even obviously you mentioned that his pomp, Sterling could always be a tad frustrating, right? You know, the inability to maybe execute the hard stuff and maybe miss some of the easy chances. But I think for me, the most important thing is that he creates threat. And adds dynamism to the attacking line, right? Because that's what I
Yeah,
really liked about the first goal. The run off the ball looks like there's still a good level of pace there. Ability to beat a man. So and that's always the profile I've wanted. Probably in a younger version, like if you could find me like a 4 or 5 younger version of Sterling, that'd be great. But you know, this version is still very much usable, and
yeah,
that's important for this season. And I think that's probably the difference, right, between with Nelson, because it was evident Arteta was never going to use Nelson. So cool, let him go, cool. But Sterling is evident he's going to use, right? So yeah, so you know, positive goal and an assist on your first full start. Let's carry this in. I'm sure he will. I think what I'm looking for him to be is similar to Trossard. Like, you know, you're not always going to start. You're going to start some. You're going to have cameos off the bench, but can you be productive like Trossard was? But maybe with adding an additional layer of threat in general play, in
yeah.
settled play. Because that's my thing with obviously with Trossard. I know he can finish the action well, shoot well off either foot, good final ball, but generally I find him quite underwhelming in general play. Whereas with Sterling, I know he has the ability to create more danger in settled play. So let's look to see how that evolves over the course of the over the course of the next few weeks. I agree with you. I still wouldn't expect him to start the weekend. I think it will be Martinelli and Saka with Havertz up top, which I think right now is probably still the best balanced attacking trio. So so I'm good with that. I'm good with that. And yeah, the final individual performance, unless there's after this one, if there's another one you want to talk about, let me know. Is as you refer to, the Bolivian Mr. Gabriel Jesus himself. He got a start today. Obviously, his second start. He didn't start at City at the weekend. He started at Atalanta. Um, boy, where do we start with my man? You might have to flog Dr. Leroy again. Pause, because this brother is physically, he's starting to look cooked, which is the worry to me. Like, obviously we always knew with Jesus, right, that he's not a shooter. He's not someone you're going to rely on to put the ball in the back of the net on a regular basis. We know that because Havertz came on in 2 minutes. Havertz already bagged a goal. Do you know what I mean? Nasty work. Letting Havertz snatch your chain like this is very, very nasty work. But at least give us the jinky that you were giving us, the level of explosiveness, the threat, right, that I was just talking about with Sterling. Give me that consistent threat. But even that threat looks like it's waning now. Obviously, he did a little sidestep for the fifth goal for Havertz's one, but he was far away from goal, man. So I just, brother, you're doing that near the corner flag, my guy, bro. That I need. So yeah, it was. I'll be honest. I was disappointed with his performance. You know, on a start like this, you're looking to, you know, give the manager something to think about. But bro, right now, I'm just thinking, bro, just put Havertz back in straight away on Saturday. So yeah, what were your overall thoughts? Do you
It's
think
very symbolic that his boot came off when he was on the pitch, because when people talk about having his shooting boots on, that brother will never ever ever have his shooting boots on. It was, yeah. I just think about all the talk this summer about he's
fire
losing
in his
weight.
belly?
He's on Slim Fast. He's working out. He's got fire in his belly, brother. This fire in the
Sorry,
belly.
I can't lie. I saw one tweet during the game. So I said the only fire Jesus has got in his belly is gonorrhea, bro. I was fried. I said,
See,
listen,
I was even gonna be nice. I was gonna say the fire in the belly is coming like heartburn or something, man, because it's not looking like drive or nothing.
yeah,
And again, there's so many angles I can attack this with. I think number one is, you mentioned his lack of threat. It's just not there, like, at all. You don't feel like, if you're a centre back playing against Jesus, you feel as if you're gonna have a comfortable time. You're not worried about runs in behind. You're not worried about him sort of dribbling past you, make like creation for himself. You're not worried about him being a pest. He's just very easy to play against. I think that's like one of the worst things you can say about a forward. We know his finishing is, crap. But again, is he even getting in the situations to have BCMs? Like even the chance that he missed, when he was kind of through on goal where he couldn't outpace the defender. It's like,
Mm,
do I remember him really getting in sort of a goal mouth opportunity? I don't, because he's just existing on the pitch in this free role where he's not really affecting
mm,
anything, and that's like my biggest frustration.
mm,
So again, when we've had all the back and forth debates about buying a forward and buying a forward, and obviously one of the arguments that was put forward, which is an argument, is we need to have sort of more variation. We need to like cover for Saka and stuff. And people push back and say, well, the elite players, they do they play most of the minutes, blah blah blah. And I'm like, if you look at our numbers, you got to account for someone like Jesus, who's not available. He's not providing threat. He's not providing goals and assists. So he's a body that you cannot rely on in any way, shape, or form in
mm,
2024. So again, these are the sort of things that you're thinking about. Where it's like, oh, well, you got Jesus. It's like, well, what version of Jesus have you got? You've got a
mm,
guy who, by day, his effectiveness just dwindles. So yeah, when people were doing this propaganda in the summer, Dr. Leroy especially because he's not even getting his knee surgically repaired. So it's like you're just hoping that this guy somehow rekindles his magic that has we haven't seen since December 2022 at this point. That was before the World
mm,
Cup. So yeah, man. Very, very, very. I mean, I already wrote him off, but yeah, at this
mm.
point, I need to see something before I can start predicting that Jesus is going to contribute to our season.
Yeah, I just, uh, yeah, I can't, and people are saying, maybe with fitness and more time and potentially, but one, we can never bank on Jesus being fit, right? Because he showed us in his time here that he's not reliable. Like,
And he had
and
a
don't
whole
get me, and,
summer off.
yeah, and he had a whole, and don't get me wrong, the first injury he had when he got here was really bad. Like that
Yeah.
knee injury was really really bad, and then he had another setback with the same knee or another knee. Like, but yeah, like, and I always worry with knee injuries, right? Because that can affect your agility and your level of explosiveness. And I've always said that. Obviously, I know with the goals, whatever, blah blah blah, we banter him about it, but it was the general level of performance that I still think we haven't really gotten back from like those first 3-4 months that he was here. So that's kind of the concern and kind of the worry for me. So, but again, there's enough minutes here that he will play if he stays fit this season. But I don't really want to hear him if it happens moaning about lack of minutes or like not being a starter, because my guy, you've not justified it. In fact, I'm pretty sure Havertz is like 1 or 2 goals behind your Arsenal career tally, and
So yeah,
he started playing up top in January. So, bro, yeah, it's and when you talk about just that goal scoring instinct, I think you're right. Like, look at the goal Havertz scored. It was hella scrappy, but there's a nose for goal. Like, he wants the goal. Like, I just don't see that with Jesus. So it's worrying. Yeah, it's unfortunate, man, and it's because I really like the initial footballer that we got from Man City. I was really really infused about, and I thought we were going to get something sick for us, and it looked like that initially, but since then we've had like 2 years of just nothingness really. So that's really really disappointing for me. And I'm guessing he's going to be on the bench on
well,
Saturday.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I've seen one or two tweets saying play Jesus left 8, and it's like, bro,
Oh,
it's so
oh.
over. Like,
Yeah,
what kind
bro,
of
bro.
desperation tactics
Yeah,
is
yeah.
this?
I'm not. The only one I can see is that Arteta would start, Jesus up top and then move Havertz back one. But like I've always said, I don't really where we are with Havertz now in this experiment. I'd rather keep him there. I'd
Yeah,
rather.
exactly.
I didn't really like seeing again, the other night away to Atalanta, like Jesus up top and Havertz deeper. Like, I'd rather find another solution than
Like,
that.
when you watch him as well, it's like, sometimes you'll watch a team play and it's like these guys can play for all night and they won't score.
Mm, mm, mm,
It's like you
mm,
watch Jesus and you can be confident that if he was to play, 180 minutes in a row, he's not getting a shot off, let
mm,
alone score a goal. So it's just the and he's a senior player. So like,
mm,
surely your mindset should be, I've got young G's around me. I need to sort of take responsibility for the fact that I'm starting and da da da. He gets the captaincy, from time to time. I swear he was captain last week, or am I imagining it? Or he held the captaincy in one of the games. So
Yeah, I
like,
think he was away to Atalanta, or was it?
yeah,
Yeah, he was. I'm pretty sure he was captain.
yeah, like you're a big man here, and you're just sort of being carried by your teammates. So yeah, man, it's not looking good at all.
Yeah. Um. Yeah, yeah. No, I don't disagree too tough. Let's do a quick Leicester preview ahead of the weekend. So obviously, um we've had a real hard run of fixtures. I don't think anyone can argue with that. So I feel like, bearing in mind context laden, where we've had certain individuals available, what you could answer was our first choice midfield trio. We're yet to see it, and we're probably not going to see that till maybe like November. Um, Obviously, other individuals missing here and there. A very, very hard. Villa, Spurs, and City being your first three away games is a joke, bro. I know these scripts writers were trying to see us mudded, but we've got ourselves into a good position. We're only 2 points off the top, three, and and if you really wanted to take it further, like the only games we've dropped points in are the games where we've gone down to 10 men. So there's a conceivable argument that had Rice not got sent off, I think we beat Brighton, and we were seconds away from beating City at the Etihad. So all in all, I think we look okay. We're in a good position, and obviously now it's time to kick on. I think the fixture on paper, right? We know obviously there's no easy games, but on paper, it looks a bit easier for us now. And obviously the game states are going to change now, right? Because we're going to be going into games where we're going to be expected to dominate. The dark arts that we apparently show, I'm sure teams are going to be showing that against us now, as we look to break down some of these blocks. So with Leicester, obviously newly promoted, probably going to be fighting relegation for the bulk of the season. How would you like to see us approach Saturday? Would there be any changes you make specifically? And is there anyone you're looking to see specifically? What would you like to see? Because I think obviously we've done well to firefight in some of these big away games, but now let's start putting some goals on the board, in my opinion. So yeah.
Yeah, I think. Well, if I talk about sort of the context of the game, I'm kind of happy it's a 3 o'clock game for a start.
Mm,
I think we've been on the Summer Jam screen too much, and
mm,
it's nice just to kind of sneak in at 3 p.m., especially a week after such an emotional high game. Because I feel as if I'm kind of worried is a strong word. I'm going to say I'm sort of expecting a subdued performance at the weekend. Um, Again, it's a completely different game state. So I feel as if it's going to take just a little bit of a while to adjust to that without Erdegaard. In terms of changes, I'm expecting sort of the same lineup away to City in this game as well. I'm expecting Trossard to come back in for Jesus. I think you mentioned obviously before Trossard, you don't like him in open play, but he's a final third. He's a final third guy, and against sort of a lower league team, you can make concessions for someone like Trossard and his weaknesses because you know that in and about the box, he's going to have a devastating effect if given the opportunity.
mm.
Yeah, in terms of that midfield dynamic, I assume we're going to see more of this sort of hybrid interchanging with Havertz and Trossard. That will be, I think, that's the initial way that Arteta is going to go in order to sort of mitigate Erdegaard's absence. I would definitely like to see Ethan get minutes this weekend. Um, it's not that we're going to struggle to break Leicester down, but I do think having the profile of an 8 who can dictate play on the ball in the final third is
Mm.
something that we'll begin to miss. We haven't missed it as much because again our game states have dictated that we haven't had much of the ball and we've countered. But again, against lowly teams who are going to sit back, we will need to recycle the ball pretty well in the opposition's half and keep that pressure ongoing. And we can do it to a decent standard without Odegaard against a relegation candidate team. But again, I think it would be nice to at least attempt to sort of replicate what Odegaard uh, usually brings to us when he's available.
Mm.
In terms of Leicester, I have seen one game this season. That was a Spurs game. Um, they the second half is what I remember. They had quite a few chances against Spurs, are
Mm.
not the best defensive team. Vardy's still about, and if one thing Vardy likes to do, he likes to come and spoil the party. So
Mm.
I expect Gabriel Saliba to be switched on. But yeah, absolutely same lineup and an introduction of Ethan. I'd definitely like to see at some point.
Yeah, I'm there with you. I think if it was down to me, I would start him, but I expect Trossard to start, in a sort of variant of a 4-4-2, 4-2-4 with Martinelli and Sterling wide. So, listen, my guy, Trossard, you're going to need to get into some sort of creative bag if you're playing, mate.
I'm not sure about that one, but we'll see.
Boy, I'm not sure either. But yeah, I'm not sure. He hasn't shown so far that he's going to reinvent the wheel too much, Arteta. And to be fair to him, with the games we've had, it's probably not something you're going to look to do too much, right? You're not going to look to upset the apple cart, be solid, be hard to break down, which we were, and obviously rely on some of our strengths to get us over the line. But I think now, yeah, game states are changing. The onus is back on us. So it's on the manager to find different solutions. And I think Ethan is obviously naturally the most natural replacement for Odegaard. So I would like to see it. And obviously, it's a shame Marino's not injured, right? Because that he's another option that was brought in to be, one of our eights. So yeah, the only other option I can see, which I don't really want to see, is maybe like Havertz being dropped into Odegaard's position and then moving Jesus up top. But it's not something I really want to see. I'll be so honest with you, man. So
only person I want to see that is German Dan, and that's to advance.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm not. Yeah, I'm not really with that one. But I think Trossard will be the one he goes with. Obviously he's back after suspension, so that's what I expect to see. I think Saka and Martinelli will stay the same, both wide. Obviously they shared the game tonight, so I expect so they'll both start. So I expect Sterling and Jesus to be on the bench again. I think obviously Partey didn't come on tonight. Jorginho played the whole game, didn't he? So yeah. So I think Partey will be back in with Rice. I hope, let's not forget, neither White or Timber were in the squad tonight. So I'm kind of hoping they're okay. Obviously, Gabriel.
I've got more hope for Timber. It's White that I'm not sure about because it was clearly said that he was carrying an injury. I think Timber was more of a precautionary thing because obviously he's had.
Yeah. Well, and I've said before, boy, listen. I tend to have a bit more grace with Ben White than some others do because I'm kind of like, bro, this guy plays regardless, like even if he's not fit. And I'm looking at some of the other brothers in the squad that will have a headache and they'll be missing for like 6 weeks, bro. We don't see them. Do you know what I mean? So, someone like a Tomiyasu, big man, you should be playing tonight. Do you know what I mean? So, boy, listen, if I talk to Toranaga somehow, do you know bro. So yeah, so I'm hoping we can recover those and hopefully Raya. I've just seen quotes from Arteta and I hope it's just him playing mind games. He's like, Raya's got a bit of a fight injury, which isn't, which isn't filling me with confidence, bro. So that's a little bit of a worry, which means that we would see a day before Neto in goal. And, I can't pretend that I've watched a lot of Neto, but I can't imagine he can replicate what Raya can do on the ball. If he can, great. But I'd be very surprised if he can.
Anytime I've seen that guy, I thought he stunk.
You see.
I gotta be completely honest.
Yeah.
But again, I wasn't ever watching him close enough because I never in a million years did I think he'd be playing for Arsenal Football Club. So yeah, let's just hope that Raya is in one piece because of all the talk about our other key players, if Raya gets injured, we are actually cooked.
Yeah. That's
fully grasp how cooked we are.
It's a major thing, right? Because of how key Raya is in. Like, I don't think people understand that Raya is like another defender in build-up. Like, I don't like what we asked Raya to do, which was partly why Ramsdale's now at the door because he wasn't comfortable doing it. Like, I don't think a lot of keepers would be comfortable doing it, and also Raya's been in great form to start the season. To be so honest, like he's been in top form. So yeah, I mean, to be fair, if we put Neto in, we should still have enough to beat Leicester. Do you know what I mean? If we can't take out Raya and but if it was a serious injury, then that would definitely be a concern. It would definitely be a big concern. So let's see on that one. Hopefully, obviously, it's Saturday, Thursday. They probably won't train tomorrow. They'll probably be back in on Friday. Well, they'll be doing their recovery tomorrow, and then back in on Friday for training before Saturday's game. So hopefully White and Timber are okay. But yeah, let's see, man. Let us see. Right, let's finish off with a couple listeners' questions before we call it a night. Jay Taru says, TouchyGooners, man, then when are you taking Dr. Lee to jail? I'm assuming this is about Gabriel Jesus. Well, my guy, you better call this guy on the pod to come and answer for his own crimes, boy, because he might be fighting a lone battle between him and Party. I don't know what the doctor's smoking at the moment, but he might need to prescribe himself something.
He loves an absolutely washed baller for
Yeah.
absolutely. I don't get it.
Yeah, he seems to have his stocks in the wrong players at this time. I am Mr. Lex. He says, this Gabby Jesus fella, what do we do with him? He's so finished. I hope fitness will at least bring back dribbling and quick feet, but I'm not counting on him moving forward. Well, we discussed it. Maybe more minutes will bring back some of that jinky, but yeah, I'm just worried, man. I said it. We said it earlier. He just doesn't look. He just hasn't looked the same player ever since that knee injury, man. So
On a real, the only sort of productivity we can get out of him is carrying out a defensive instruction. That's it. I'm being so serious. Like, if you see like Jesus playing right wing, right, or left wing, you know he's there because he's carrying out defensive instruction, because he can do that well. He can run. He's diligent and all that kind of thing. But yeah, in terms of like actual attacking contribution, unless I see it, he's absolutely cooked food, and he's been cooked food for a while. And I don't know whether Saudi would even be interested in January, because they came looking for Trossard, remember? They didn't come looking for Jesus.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. It's not looking good, bruv. Right. This is a good question here from Count Draxula. He says, discounting the pre-Wenger era, so before 1996 when he joined, please rank the top 5 hell enders. And where will Ethan and Miles rank amongst this if they're in there now?
Are we counting Cesc or no?
For the purposes, we can add Cesc. We can add Cesc. So there's Ashley Cole, there's Cesc, there's Wilshere, there's Saka. I mean, who else is there? I mean, there were guys like Kieran Gibbs. But,
yeah, those are squaddies. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I think those 4 would be in there for me. Cole, Cesc, Wilshere, yeah, and Saka. Yeah, they would be like my 4. Who else could I add?
Carl Jenkinson.
Bro, that guy was.
Oh no, he wasn't Halen, was he? He was just an Arsenal fan.
We bought him from Charlton. He wasn't even Halen still. Yeah, he was not. Oh, you could say Iwobi.
True. Yeah.
ESR. Joe Willock. Those were some others. At the very least, we produced some good Premier League players as well. Yeah. So,
Seb Larson.
Yeah. Listen, Seb Larson had a good. He had a good career. Yeah, he had a decent career. Nicholas Bentner. Carlos Vela. Yeah, I will say. I'm gonna put Saka number 1 because I think he's gonna end up being number 1 anyway.
Yeah.
I hate him, but I'm gonna have to put Ashley Cole number 2 because double winning, title left back, probably the best left back, in Premier League history. So I'll put him number 2. I'll put Cesc 3. Who's the 4th one? Yeah, I'll put Wilshere 4. And then I'll put
Iwobi.
Yeah, you could put Iwobi ESR as number 5. I would, and I think I'm hoping Ethan and Miles will end up on that list at some stage. Obviously, we can't put them on there now, but if their trajectory ends up being similar to Saka, I think in a couple of years we could maybe revisit this and say, no, them 2 can be on there. Them 2 can be on there.
Yeah, I'll change the order slightly. I think I'd say Saka 1. I would say actually no. Yeah, I'd say Saka 1. I'd say Ashley Cole 2. I'd say Jack Wilshere 3. I'd say Iwobi 4, and I'd say Cesc 5.
Are you saying Cesc 5 because you don't like him, or because he's not really a Haylender, or?
It's the principle, man. I'm telling you. You cannot be going on strike as club captain and expect me to ever forget that.
It's true. It's very, very true. A lot of people are still not over that one. So no, I can't blame
about him is if he wasn't if he wasn't a deceitful individual, the way I'd be running propaganda about that guy, because he was actually an insanely good footballer. When people talk about Gerard Lampard and Scholes being in like an exclusive top three,
bro, Fabregas used to double
Fabregas
all of them
absolutely sits at that top table. But
easily.
because he made the decisions he made, I will happily scroll past people saying that David Silva is better. That's what it is, bro. You live and die by your decisions, isn't it? So.
I hear it. All right, last one we'll end up with before we call it a night. SOL11 says, how are we supposed to win the Premier League title with PGMO on our backs? Yeah, to be fair, we haven't really had a ref rant, so I'm gonna have a little ref rant to end the pod, bro. People say Arsenal fans like to make a meal out of nothing, but I genuinely feel at times like some of the things we are getting punished for, like where I'm being gaslit because I'm seeing other teams do the exact same and they're not getting punished. You know, Doku kicked the ball away in the game, did not get punished. Funnily enough, for our equaliser, Partey got
Bernardo
fouled.
Silva.
Bernardo was walking away with the ball at his feet. There was 0-0 punishment. That's why I didn't want to hear Carl Walker talking about Nish about the goal, because you man have only got yourself to blame for that. So I just feel like a lot of things like, and don't get me wrong, cool, by the letter of the law, I actually thought Trossard was quite stupid, by the way. Like I thought the challenge on Bernardo when you're on a yellow it's just a stupid challenge to make, and then to kick the ball away. Obviously, I know it was like a millisecond after the ref had blown a whistle, so I get that. But the actual challenge on Bernardo was stupid in itself. So I think you got to be a bit smarter there. So I actually was not as upset about that red as I was like with the Rice one, which I thought was ridiculous personally. But yeah, but you know when we talk about when we see Joe Linton that is clotheslining goalkeepers, you know, there's mad stuff that's happening every week. And I think for me, you know when they're talking about Trossard had to go, cool. But listen, last season I saw Kovacic commit GBH at the Emirates with the same ref in charge, and he said he didn't want to send him off because he didn't want to ruin the game. But you were happy to ruin the game this weekend. I think it is absolute insanity, man. And I think, yeah, I don't know how they
Thing is, the PGMOL can get away with what they get away with for two main reasons. One, teams are biased, towards their own terrible decisions, but won't necessarily admit them in the other direction. So I think that's one. And two, you can see how the PGMOL work in conjunction with the media. I mean, you see like Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher, they're always doing first team all defense for Howard Webb and his decisions. So they can just air all the nonsense. I mean, they could just air all the, the dodgy decisions they make, really, because at the end of the day, who's gonna really sort of improve standards? You're gonna have to rely on themselves to sort of investigate themselves, and no one really ever wants to do that. So, and I say investigate not for corruption. I mean it just in terms of, a ref can contradict themselves one week to another, and nothing really happens. So, yeah, it's a crap situation. And yeah, I mean, just got to be better, man. At the end of the day, I think the only thing I can possibly think of is if we end up winning the title and we somehow become the establishment team, then we can just be rocking up at the Emirates, having all sorts of kind decisions in our favour until someone knocks off the perch. Because I don't know if you've seen the Watford goal that got ruled out yesterday. Some simple shoulder bodge that Haaland
that
praised for doing, grown man strength and all that, and apparently it's now a foul. So yeah, man, these refs, I think,
crazy. And
yeah, the last thing I'll say about refs is whenever they're defended, it's always like this thing about, oh, you can't question their their bias or integrity. It's like, are they somehow impervious to bias in life or something? Do you think they like when they leave a game, they just go sit in a cocoon for a whole week and then just go referee the next match? Do you not think they read everything? Do you not think they consume all the same media that we do? Like they definitely internalize narratives about teams, about players, and you can even read like their interviews when they retire. It's like, oh yeah, I refereed this player like this because he was like this, and So yeah, I mean, everyone just likes to play stupid, really, which is a shame. But anyway, it's got to deal with it.
And it's always with refs. We're allowed to criticize players, we're allowed to criticize managers, clubs, but we're never allowed to speak about refs. It's so odd, so odd. Yeah, I can't. I would love to import refs from another country, but alas, they ain't never letting that happening in England, bro. So yeah, so we got to make do with it. All right, let's leave it there. Listeners, thank you very much for tuning in. Khalil, thank you very much for joining me. a very fun evening. Hopefully we can get more of those. Especially with all the high pressure fixtures we're involved in now, trying to go for everything. So yeah, I'm encouraged. I'm encouraged, and yeah, hopefully we recover some players back ASAP. I think that's a potential worry. We can't afford many more players dropping because we're really dropping like flies at the moment. But before I go, Khalil, give me a prediction for Saturday.
2-0.
2-0. Yeah, yeah. I'll go 3. Be a bit more positive. 3-0 Arsenal against Leicester. Listeners, hopefully we get that dub, a few goals on the score sheet, get some confidence in our attackers, start building up some momentum. Because really, right now, I'm trying to dunk on City, bro. I can't wait for Haaland to come Emirates, bro. I'm telling you, I'm already that Feb fixture. Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready. But listen, that's a long way off. One game at a time. Let's focus on Leicester, get that dub, and we'll be back with a post match after that. Khalil, thank you very much. Listeners, peace.
Peace.